right, so that football game, right? Nah, I'm just kidding.
How you get so big getting food of this kind?
Alright, so last night we finally got the Last Jedi trailer. I've watched it several times. I've gone back and watched the teaser and behind the scenes video that's also dropped. So let's just get into it. The plan here is to show you the trailer from last night and go through and break down images little bit by little bit, and then we're going to actually go back through. So what a lot of people talk about with these trailers is, did they spoil too much? Is there misdirection? What's going on? I think plot-wise, we got a lot of misdirection, but I think thematically, the trailer's going to end up being pretty on point, and I'll show you what I mean after we get through the first pass. So, trailer starts. We have what I'm going to assume is Kylo Ren for several reasons. 1, looks like him. 2, First Order things. 3, Snoke is talking. Presumably he's talking about Kylo.
When I found you.
This is very exciting. So it's kind of hard to tell, but right here is the old school AT-AT, the classic Imperial Walker. There's another one right here. It's this big versus these guys. So clearly there's something going on here. It's obviously Kylo's ship. This looks like the fields of the planet of Crate, which we saw in the last teaser.
Untamed
so here, it was pointed out to me, I did not notice this myself, but this image is very similar to Anakin marching on the Jedi Temple. A lot of people think that this might be the raid on the base on Crate that we've seen in some of the other trailers. I think that there might be a Jedi Temple on Crate, and that's speculation off of several different things. 1, there's a long history of the Rebellion making bases on Jedi planets, and what we've learned in some canon novels is that this was a Rebellion base before it was a Resistance base. And also just that imagery of this looking like Anakin's attack on the Jedi Temple. I think there could be some correlation there.
and beyond that.
This image, I love. I love the red in stark contrast of the black. It's a motif that's going on in all of their posters, in all of their trailers. A lot of red and black, which I think is interesting because with Star Wars, it's usually red and blue. In fact, if you look at the teaser poster, it's red and blue because that's just the catch-all dark side versus light side, red and blue. I like that it's red and black. It sets up a contrast, creates a visual conflict, but it's not about the light and the dark. It is all about the dark. This too, you can see the new Praetorian Guards, which are a lot like the Imperial Red Guards, and I like that Kylo is picking up his lightsaber. I think there's some very interesting things going on here. I think he is in a meeting with Snoke, and Snoke is not happy. And then we get Rey. So Rey is trying to learn the ways of the Force herself. Lucasfilm. For all of you out there who think these are Disney Star Wars films, they're still Lucasfilm. Get it together.
Something.
Here we see Rey and Luke talking. Luke has either lost or given up the synthetic hand. A lot of people think he loses it. I think it's possible that he embraces the fact that he has a mechanical hand, where Vader hid his mechanical parts in a suit. Luke is kind of like, yeah, I have a mechanical hand, deal with it. This is presumably the beginning of the film. The film is supposed to pick up right where The Force Awakens left off. Luke's like, what? This is interesting. I think this would be, there's Rey there. I think this is the Jedi Temple on Octo. I really like that it's made out of wood because everything else on this island appears to be made out of stone. So I think that's very interesting, especially because this is the place that has actual books.
And I need help.
I want to know what's going on with this. I want to know, is this a sign of many people who have trained here and have failed this exercise and have overextended their lightsaber and have slowly carved into the rock? Or is the rock this way and the point is that you're not supposed to carve into the rock? Rock breaks. Luke's like, what? We've seen those floating before and Luke's all like, oh my gosh. So here Luke starts to panic because Rey has raw power. So a lot of people have complained that Rey is really OP. She picks up on the Force really quickly. What I like about the trailer here is it points out that this is unusual. Like, Rey is special. We might not know who Rey is, but she is special. The point is that she has this raw ability. Even with Anakin Skywalker in the prequels, he had the ability to pod race, which was unusual in humans, but we didn't see him just using the Force because he thought about it. Even Anakin Skywalker. So what I would challenge you is when you think this is dumb because Anakin Skywalker didn't do that, think to yourself, even Anakin Skywalker didn't do that. Maybe that's a hint at something. Here also Luke is talking about presumably Kylo being the other person that concerns him. That hand out of the wood is like Luke's Terminator 2 moment. I like this here. We see the attack on what is presumably Luke's Jedi Temple again. I still don't know if this is actually going to be on Octo. I don't think it is, because then Kylo would know where Luke is, even though it looks like very similar construction.
It didn't scare me enough then. It does now.
Here again, Luke is just having night sweats. He's so panicked. I think Luke is crazy. That's been my theory for a long time. I think Luke snapped. I think when Kylo turned, he didn't know how to handle it. There's another video I have on here, I can link below, that I have this theory that Luke is stranded on Octo. We've seen in a Topps trading card that there's a X-Wing underneath the water. That could be because he was shot down in battle. It could be a self-imposed entrapment. He could have crashed his own X-Wing so he would never be tempted to leave again. I do still hold that he has not been capable of leaving Octo. So here's Rey. She looks a little damp. She might have just like fallen over the edge or something, but she's kind of like, Luke, I came all the way out here. I imagine her struggle is something to the extent of, I came all this way to find my family and I still don't have my family. So then we go back to Kylo, and this Kylo Rey thing is something I'm going to get back to in just a minute. This is interesting here, what he does with his mask. Boom, he smashes it. In the teaser for The Last Jedi, we see a crushed mask. I think a lot of people assume it was Vader's because we've seen a crushed Vader's. It's really clearly Kylo's mask. When I saw the teaser, I assumed that meant Kylo's mask was destroyed in the destruction of Starkiller Base, and that's the remnants that have been found of it. But instead, I think Kylo smashes his mask, and that gets to another thing I'm going to talk about here in a minute. So space battle, Kylo's talking, which, here, I'll find an image of it. My favorite thing going on is on Kylo's face right now. Carrie. So I love this thing on his face. I like that he kind of has this physical manifestation of an injury he's taken, but it's not in the stereotypical Star Wars way. It is not that he lost a limb. It is not even like the jaw of Darth Malak that we've seen in Knights of the Old Republic. He has some sort of like strange synthetic skin over his scar. And I don't know if that's just because it's healing or if that's something he's kept, but I think that is a really neat detail.
Kill it. If you have to. That's the only way to become what you were meant to be.
He's obviously having this moment of, is he going to kill his mother in the similar way that he killed his father? This is especially heartbreaking because with Carrie Fisher passed, there's a lot of wondering what her fate is going to be in this movie. But I don't know, this is one of those moments where I think people think it's too spoilery, and I don't think so. I think this is going to be very early in the movie. I think that Kylo here in this moment is going to not take the shot that kills his mother, and that is going to upset Snoke, and that's going to lead to some other things we're going to see. Potentially even a herald to why Kylo smashes his mask. It could be a symbolic gesture. So this is presumably underground on Crate. All of these crystal growths and everything. Don't know that for a fact. Wait. That is the cutest thing. We're gonna rock it back. Look at this. Look at that little face. I was not on Team Porg for a long time, and then this trailer. Look at his little teeth. Look at his little teeth. Look at those little teeth. I want one. I want a Porg. I have no shame for wanting a Porg. Oh my god.
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
Alright, Phasma Finn, the other thing I want to talk about here. So I have read the Phasma novel. The Phasma novel is Phasmatastic. I highly recommend it. I understand that people want their movies to set up their characters without needing books to do it. That's fine. I think this movie is going to do what we saw in the Phasma novel, what the Phasma comics are trying to do, and show that Phasma is not just a poser. I'm also really excited. Finn is, first off, not dead. Second off, not in a whole bunch of mechanical apparatus, or at least if he is, it's not so encumbering that he can't get in a fight with Phasma. I'm really excited to see them face off. They have a long history. even just that she used to be his boss. I mean, there's a huge battle going on. This is an attack on... we saw attacks on a resistance base in the teaser. This could very well be an attack on an Imperial base, based off of some other things. I'll let it keep going. I really like Phasma Spear. That's another good shout out. Space battle's cool. Whatever this is like this weird Arctic fox thing. I really like it. It's cute. Leia is super sad about things. This is again where I don't think she's dead. I don't think Kylo kills her in that moment, and I think she knows her son spared her, but not Daddy. And I think that's also kind of interesting. Rey's swimming. Luke's all mad. Okay, so here we see Finn in his First Order uniform. The behind the scenes, I can show you that actually. So this is the behind the scenes sizzle reel for The Last Jedi. Here we see the new character Rose with Finn in Imperial uniforms, presumably. Either they're both traitors or they're up to shenanigans. So this is where I think that fight with Phasma could potentially take place on an Imperial base because Finn is doing something Imperial, but I don't know. It's just a possible connection. Also, when he walks here, when Finn walks, let me rewind it. When he walks, he looks like he's handcuffed to me. Snoke! So Snoke is decidedly unholographic. He's wearing his stylish yellow, which I think is interesting in a trailer that's all about red and black. He's wearing yellow? Whatever. Stylish. So he's all like, roar, destiny, and then boom, Rey. So there's a lot going on here. You can see a little bit of yellow. I think this is Snoke. I think it's pretty safe to say this is basically the same scene. I've watched other people who are talking about trailers can be misleading and combine things that are not actually together. That's absolutely true. It's absolutely possible that this is one of those moments. However, even if that shot of Snoke yelling destiny is not about Rey, I think this is Snoke, and I think that is setting up this moment. The other reason why this is exciting to me is we didn't know that Snoke was a Force user. Everyone assumed because he was training Kylo that he must automatically be a Force user. I was not convinced. Now, I'm not surprised to see that he has Force powers either, but I was not convinced necessarily that he did have Force powers. So this is really good for me to confirm that. Obviously, Rey is going to get to Snoke, and she's going to have a hard time. So even this like super uber powerful person is still having issues against Snoke. Here's where I think the trick editing comes in.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
We see Rey here. She's all super sad. And then the big plot point at the end is Kylo and his hand. And does she join him? And is Rey going to the dark side? And oh my gosh, I think this is trick editing. I don't think these are the same two scenes. I think it's also possible that this scene is taking place at the destruction of Luke's Jedi Temple. But this is where I get back to what I said in the beginning. I don't think this trailer is misleading thematically, even though I do think it's misleading story-wise. So now that we're at the end of the trailer, oh my gosh, Last Jedi! Thematically, I think what's going on here is that Rey and Kylo are linked. Now, I am still not out of team Luke is Rey's dad. I'm getting progressively more convinced that he's not with every novel release and every trailer release, but I'm also holding on to that last sliver that they're just trying to make it less and less and less and less obvious, so when it eventually happens, it can still be a twist. That's what I'm hoping. But anyway, even if they are unrelated, I think their fates are linked, and I don't mean that in the whole Reylo they're gonna get together thing either. I think this trailer wants us to realize that they have some sort of connection to each other, because they're the only two that have shown raw power potential, which I think is interesting too, because that means Kylo took to the Force when he was still Ben Solo. I almost said Ben Skywalker, wrong Ben. I think that Ben took to the Force very naturally, and I think that's also very interesting, and it can also explain why Snoke was so interested in finding him over what must be other Force-sensitive children in the galaxy, and why he might have fallen so dark so fast. I think it's possible that Rey is going darker. I also think it's possible that Kylo is going lighter. I think that they're going to meet somewhere in the middle. We've been told that these movies are going to kind of change how we understand the Force, and I think it's going to be that there's something in the middle, that there's the Jedi will end, just as the Sith have ended, and that something new is going to come out of that. And I think that Kylo with his darkness and Rey with her lightness, sure, they're going to come together in this kind of yin-yang and create a unified force, create a living force, whatever word you want to use from Legends. Just something where it's not the dark side and the light side, it's the Force. And that can be how the Force has awakened, because Anakin balanced the Force in Return of the Jedi, whatever that means, but the Force is now reawakening in its balanced state, and that Kylo and Rey are going to play very integral parts to this. So that's kind of some of the themes I wanted to go back through the trailer and talk about. So that is not all I have for now, but that's all I'm going to say for now because this video is already long enough already. There's so much to talk about. I want to know what you have to say. I want to know what your thoughts, your reactions, your beliefs are. What are your crazy theories? Come check us out on Port Haven, port-haven.com. We are always discussing all kinds of Star Wars things. I want to know what you think. I want to know how you think I'm wrong. I want you to prove me wrong. Come, let's talk about it. Also check the description for other videos and for links to some friends at Port Haven that have been really good to support us. So, until next time, keep it real and breathe. Just breathe.